Hi, everybody. Welcome back to A Catholic's Perspective, the podcast all about being a young Catholic surviving in a secular world. I am recording this after the fact because we did not record an intro because we just started talking right away.
We talked about a lot of great topics, so we're just, we're shooting the intro after, but we got into a lot of great stuff. So, I hope you guys enjoy.
Please do not forget to rate and share. It really helps us out. Thank you. So right now we're talking about anime and how certain body types, in my opinion, are not achievable.
Goku is an achievable body type. Okay.
I mean, okay, valid. We've been rewatching all of the Studio Ghibli shows, and I had so many people tell me that Howl's Moving Castle was like their comfort film, like this was the best film they'd ever seen from Studio Ghibli. It was amazing, blah blah blah. Max and I watched it and we were like, what the heck is going on? What he's turning into slime. There's a pogo stick of a turnip head. Like, and for anyone who hasn't watched it, like I hadn't, I mean, they're probably going to be just as lost as I was, but I actually watched it and I'm like, okay, so then why is she old sometimes and then young sometimes, and then does that break the curse, and then you know?
Well, I mean, it's a bizarre movie, but that's just anime. That's why I love anime. It's so much more creative than so much Western films that you're gonna see. And like, here's the thing, right? It's like a lot of it is like implicitly more right wing than like a lot of
True.
Western films. Like, I even like some of the degenerate ones, which I used to watch, back when I was like, unfortunately, not totally in the faith. I like when I look back at it, I'm like, dude, like this is like a lot of like right wing stuff, like actually based, and it's like a lot of implicitly Catholic stuff, which you don't really find too much in Western films. Like, sure, you can get like something like The Dark Knight, Interstellar, etc., which does have like also implicitly Catholic and right wing messages, but like it's not. I just don't think it's as much as you can get from. Well, I don't want to start giving names because, like, I don't want you guys to start like watching stuff that has some
Yeah, don't do that,
something.
guys.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it's like I heard it said one time. It's like it's almost like Japan is searching for something. Okay,
That sounds a
cool.
lot better.
It's because oh shoot, it's because the stupid echo cancellation and auto adjust mic volume was on,
Oh, yes, that is
and
not
I'm
the
very
vibe.
dynamic when I talk.
You just can't deal with that. And
Yeah.
that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the theme of this entire podcast. It's gonna be
What?
jank, but it's gonna be awesome.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say because I'm loud. Okay, never
No,
mind.
no. I mean, I'm loud too. I just
Well, you're white though. I don't know if you're as loud as Browns. I'm not Mexican, but I'm Peruvian.
Oh, okay.
So I am brown. That's why I can make that joke. I honestly think anybody can make that joke as long as you're like you're not being hateful about it. Because it's just fun. It's just fun. It's just funny. As long as you're not like you're not actually like, oh, I hate this race or whatever.
That's
But
true. You know what really annoys me is like when people get super, super sensitive about things that just like the actual people aren't sensitive about. Like, do
yeah.
you remember those videos going around for a while where somebody would dress up in like a sombrero or like a very Mexican type of tradition and go to college campuses and be like, oh, is this racist or is this like whatever? And they're like, yeah, I can't believe you're wearing that. That's like so awful and blah, blah, blah. And then they'd actually go to a Mexican town or something and be like, is this racist to you or whatever? And they're like, no, 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 you look
No, they
great.
love
I
it.
love
They
it. It's
love
for
it.
everybody. Like whatever you want. It's so funny.
No, exactly. It's it really shows that like I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I think if you like talk to like some liberals that are like of whichever race, they'll probably give you the same similar answer. But like like I feel like usually they're kind of out of touch with their own kind.
Yeah,
Like
just a
because
little.
if you talk to like Hispanic liberals versus if you talk like Hispanics that are like out in like I don't know, more ghetto areas or something, like it's gonna be kind of different with like what they say to you. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Culture.
I think it's funny though. I think it's fun like as long as it's like not actually like anything that's like it's like as long as it's like not actually insulting. Obviously, like you wouldn't be like, oh, you're disgusting or something like that. That's
Yeah.
different. That's obviously
Or
different.
like how a lot of, you know, non-Catholics put on like sexy nun costumes for, Halloween or whatever.
Oh
Yeah, like
yeah.
that's no, that's different because
That's
that's
different.
disrespecting a
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah, that would be different than like some like atheists that I guess maybe like
finds it kind of cool that nuns are cool and like actually puts in effort to have like a nun costume. I know some people might have still a bit of an issue with that, but I think if they're showing that like they actually do think that this is cool and like something that's like worth respecting, I think that's already a
Yeah,
good start. I wouldn't really have an issue with that unless they're like trying to dress as like skimpy and stuff like that. Then it's like okay, like
true. Can we just
or
like put an end to just immodest Halloween costumes in general? Can
can
that
we
just
put an end
die?
to immodesty in general? Can we
Yeah, we'll
ban
start with
immodesty?
Halloween. We'll start with Halloween.
Then we'll tiptoe on from there. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate to see so many beautiful women unfortunately degrade their bodies. It's
Yeah,
not
I
right.
mean, I also think it's really interesting to see how now normally dressed women sometimes get, dragged through the mud or told they're immodest. And it's just like, you
Yeah,
can't win sometimes. And I think you and Isabella kind of talked about this
yeah.
previously. You guys had like a little modesty talk and things too. And it's just like, you really can't win. And at the end of the day, you got to protect your peace and just know that like you're on your journey for Christ and people just have to respect that.
Are you referring to the people that like kind of like attack like or kind of criticize the women that kind of post just kind of dresses and pics like that on Instagram or
Yeah,
online?
to an extent. I think it happens a lot more than we think it does, especially for us women, because we'll be wearing a completely normal outfit. And then somebody will say, like, oh, this is like immodest or this or this or this bothers me or something. And then you start to wonder, first of all, well, I used to be like this, right? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, well, maybe that's true. Like, maybe I should like not do this because then, but then I'm like, well, then how are the girlies going to get inspo? Like we
Yeah,
share inspo. But what I realized is that what my mindset is now is that if you have an issue with a woman in a perfectly normal outfit, whether that's normal shorts and a t-shirt or um t-shirt and jeans or a dress of some kind, whatever, a normal outfit. I'm not saying like immodest, but
yeah.
normal outfit. That's that's a problem for you. Like you need to
That's
figure
true.
that out.
Yeah, that's very true. I think that there definitely is like probably people that might have a bit of a like I mean, don't get me wrong, like obviously there's I mean, I'm sure you agree with this, like there's obviously like an amount of revealing that could of course maybe potentially cause others to stumble that we have a duty to kind of uphold. But then there's like the level that like, I think you're getting into, which is like the whole like any showing any ounce of like just a little bit of the female body might
Mhm.
be like might cause people to sin. That's like that might be just more honestly more of an issue of the person's own heart. Which of course I mean either way all of our hearts are fallen, but like obviously there's I think you're getting to like kind of a degree which I can't maybe totally perfectly articulate right now, but I also do think and like because I've heard this argument before and I know Isabella and I talked about this and I think that like some of these people might also be like concerned that like some women like just look for the attention of looking quote unquote modest
Yeah.
and like that and they would say that that in itself is not modesty which of course like that could be a possibility with some people and I think that that definitely should be something that should be best avoided but at the same time like this is what I talked to Isabella with like you don't really know their heart to really know that like you can't tell like if anything like if I were concerned about that like I would pose it as like a suggestion like hey sister just be careful that you're not falling into this but I wouldn't like immediately just make that judgment of like oh you're definitely like as if I'm God to like know what definitely is in your mind. I mean yeah you can look at like someone's works but you can't know for sure with 100% certainty their what's in their heart like God can. So I mean like that's something that I've heard a lot. I mean I'm sure you probably might have heard some of that argument too.
Yeah, I think it comes down to also just the amount of judgment that people feel as though they're free to put out online without ever even meeting the person or knowing the person, I think is a
Mm,
huge problem as well, because we've gotten too comfortable with critiquing each other, but not with actually walking with each other.
mm,
So it's constant like admonishing and just like threats or this or that or like you're dumb or this. And this is a lot of Catholics online. I mean, I've seen it. And one of the main things I've been trying to do recently is to remind Catholics to be charitable online no matter
yeah.
who they're talking to. And sometimes charity is not saying anything and simply just not losing your peace over it, not getting into an argument, and just simply letting something be. Not everything needs to be blown out of proportion. And something I've talked about a lot as well is how people love to be scandalized online. Like scandal just is like wildfire online.
Yeah.
And we see that a lot with like the Pope and that whole LGBTQ jubilee lie that's going around. You
Quick, I
know,
don't want you to get clipped out of context. When you say that that sometimes the charitable thing is to not say anything, it's
mhm.
not as if you're saying that to take an action at all. You can obviously pray for them and stuff like that, right? And like, maybe give
Yes,
some other kinds of words of encouragement or whatever. Like, but it really depends on the situation, is what you're trying to say. Like, it really depends. It's
yes,
not as if it's always good to like not say anything, but it really, really depends on what kind of situation.
exactly. Yes, thank
Yeah,
you,
just
Franco.
I don't
I
want
was,
you to get clipped out of context.
you know that'll happen. I have people that will do that.
Yeah, yeah, but it's okay. I'm here. I'm here, which obviously I can't exactly avoid that either 100%, but
Well, we do our best though.
we do
We
our
try.
best. We do our best. And I do try to stay nuanced within all sides, cuz I do think that like I do think a lot of people have good I would like to hope that a lot of people have like good intentions, and maybe they just don't, maybe they're just not good at communicating it, whether it's the people that are like, just not acting in the most charitable way as possible online, or whether it's the people that people that are maybe, people might be like, oh, you might be posting immodest stuff, right? I would like to hope that everybody is trying to act with good intentions, but it's just really horrible at it. Of course, I'm sure that there's like a lot of level of pride there, most likely.
Yeah.
But I do try to uh, charitably interpret everybody as much as I can. But that's not to say that we can't point out the issues. Of course, I mean, there's like, it is definitely a huge issue online that people are just really, really like provocative on certain stuff when you don't even have to be. Like, it's like,
Yep.
and I used to do this a lot too when I started like doing Catholic content creation. Like, I literally would I remember like I first started doing like this kind of like Andrew Tate sort of like imitation type stuff, which is like I was kind of playing a joke on it, because like I thought like Andrew Tate was saying like a lot of good stuff. Of course, I'm not saying I agree with him on everything, obviously, but there's like a lot of stuff that I was like, it's kind of cool how he like articulates it. And so I would like I would make like, oh, if Andrew Tate was Catholic, and then I made a video on that, like saying like why pornography should pretty much be banned. And that like, but after that I was like, okay, I should, I should probably kind of, be more how I am, right? How I
Mhm.
usually talk and stuff like that, which is more chill. But even then, I still was like very provocative either way. And so from then, I like literally, I remember I talked to a priest about it, and he would be like, "Can you just try to like communicate it like how Father Mike Schmitz communicates it?" And I didn't
That's a good
understand that
idea.
at the time. But I'm like fine. I'm like fine. Like, I don't get like I'm fine though. Um, but eventually, after like, I think he must have been praying for me, because like honestly, like that priest, he would see my content a lot, like, because he would like I would ask him his thoughts and stuff like that. But eventually, eventually one day he told me like, just think about like, do you think this is like, do you like, you don't even have to keep coming to me about this, but just like think to yourself, like, do you think this is like bringing people closer to Christ? Um,
Yeah.
and that's when I was like, I can already think of like two posts that I should delete right now.
They'll haunt you forever.
Yeah, no, and so, because that's like a real thing. Like, you could be trying to deliver the truth in such a way that makes you seem irrational, that when you're trying to promote something rational, it gets lost on someone's ears, because the way that you're promoting it, it really seems very irrational. We're humans, we're not robots. Christ recognized that. Jesus himself recognized that. That's why when he talked, the Bible, of course, does a great job at communicating what he said, but it doesn't communicate the full human aspect of Jesus. It doesn't communicate the tone he used, how his facial expression looked like. It doesn't communicate any of that. And sure, people might be like, "Oh, well, you're tone policing or whatever," but it's like, that's part of the human aspect, dude. There's a
Yeah.
video that you can watch online, that of and of course, don't get me wrong, there's people that can be very neurotic and like, take that to the extreme of like, any like little change in tone is like really bad, is really bad for them. Obviously there's the neurotic level of it, of course, but that's not to say that doesn't matter at all. There's like a person that I saw online who was like, tone really is everything, and he would like say hi to strangers, and he would be saying it like very dead first. He'd be like, okay, I'm gonna like, I'm gonna torture myself by saying hi to strangers like in a very depressing mode, like, hey, how you doing?
Hi.
Hey,
It's
what's
like
up?
Eeyore.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then he was like, okay, now look at the difference when I do it in a very, with a change in tone. He would say like a little bit more bright. Hey, how you doing? Right, and it would be just a totally people would actually start responding to him back and everything like that. He would have wonderful interactions, right? So tone matters. I think people online are like really tired of like kind of the whole kind of feminist like, your tone and stuff like that, which is fair. Which is fair, right? There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of issues with like people take that to the extreme. But you can't just go to like go to an atheistic level of just denying the human aspects that God gave us. You can't that would be more of, I mean, maybe not atheistic, but that would be definitely like anti God creation. Anti God's
Yes.
creation to an extent, I would say, if you just totally deny or do not care about how you communicate certain things.
Absolutely. As Franco says as he screams into the microphone. No, I'm just kidding. It's okay. I think it's funny though because it's true, and I think there's a huge issue along with platforms like Twitter where it's like you can't see or hear people's facial expressions. You can't hear their tone of voice, and it becomes a very it becomes a very assuming of everybody where it's just like you just assume if you put like if I asked if I put a period at the end of a sentence, my sister or my friends would be like, "Oh my gosh, are you mad at me? Like, what did I do?" And I'd be like,
Yeah.
That's just the proper sentence ending. Like, I'm just trying to be grammatically correct. Okay." Punctuation is exist. And I think a lot of people have tried to come up with artificial ways to put emotion and tone of voice into texting
I
through
put exclamation points.
emojis, through like uppercase or lowercase letters. Like if you're, oh, I'm so tiny, you don't even put capital letters in. But if you're yelling, you put all uppercase. Or if you're trying to be sarcastic, you do half and half of like, well, I don't know. Um,
Mm.
but it's not, it doesn't replace what we need, like real connection. And
Yeah, that's
it
true.
makes it really difficult for us to make those connections. And yeah, go and just a little bit about like the charity aspect of it too is like assuming the best in people is always very important because for our souls, right? It's
Yeah.
important for our souls because rash judgment is a sin. It's dangerous, and we don't want to fall into the same things as you know uh other people are. Like we want to question things. We want to be like, okay, is this true? Do we have proof of this? Is this accurate? Or are we just sharing a headline? Are we just sharing something because somebody said it? Are we actually fact checking? And I know fact checking is kind of a trigger word for some people, but it's true. It's like real fact checking though. You
No,
know
we
what I
should.
mean?
No, it's true. Like the left has done a great job at really just uh kind of colonizing our own good terminology, like not wanting to harm people, being loving, being kind. These are all good terms, but the left has just used them so much they've pretty much colonized them, and then like now not we should colonize it back. To be honest, I think we should I think we should
Might as well.
we should, because like they're what they promote, like the sinful stuff that they promote. Sin is harm. Sin is harm.
Hmm.
Sin is not good. It's not. It's not. It's lies. It's not a fact. It's not. It's total deception. And
Yeah.
so we to for them to have the claim on expert status, on experts, on fact checks and all that stuff. That's stuff that we have. That's stuff that we have the true version of those, right? But of
It's true.
course, right wingers love to flee because almost as if that's been a common pattern within history.
It's
Cough
interesting, huh?
cough Protestant Revolution. But right wingers really have a really huge tendency to flee a lot of stuff. At least American right wingers do, and a lot of Catholics are unfortunately like kind of adopting that mindset. I think, but I don't
Mm.
know, man. I think we should. Well, I do know. I think we should not flee. Actually, I think we should probably, if God calls you to it, of course, make sure to hold your ground on certain areas where it would be prudent to do so. But
Yeah. And I
what
think
do I
it's
know? I'm just an e-boy.
no, Franco, don't say that. You're gonna get canceled.
Yeah, I'm
I
good.
think, but also I think it's important because, like what you're saying, I think having the virtues in general really come in play here when it comes to like temperance and prudence when you're online and not just getting swept up with the negativity tornado and just like following everybody else. Group thinking is so dangerous. And there was this the a very popular man, I forget his name, I think his first name was like Douglas or something, but he tweeted a picture of Pope Francis and he said this is the worst pope ever,
I
basically.
saw that today this morning.
You know what I said? Do you know what I said, Franco?
No, I know.
I
I'm
said,
sure.
"No, he isn't. Let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we?" And then I
No,
proceeded
literally.
to list the other popes that have done horrible things. Now, and I
One
reminded
word,
people,
Borgia. Done.
yes. Yep. But I mean, like, you have to remind people that popes are human. Okay. They're going to fail. They're going to do other things. And yes, they shouldn't because they have this higher title, of course, and that's on their souls. That's them.
Yeah.
But we need to pray for them. How many people pray for our church leaders or pray for Pope Francis as opposed to just dragging them through the mud when
Yeah.
any little thing comes out? Why can't we just celebrate the wins where we have the wins and then we pray for the quote unquote maybe bad decisions? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
it's truly such a liberal attitude, to be honest. Like, it really is. Like, and I think people might think that it's based to like dunk on the Pope and stuff like that. But it's like, if you read "Liberalism is a Sin" by Father Felix Sarda, if you read like a bunch of other stuff that's actually like solid on liberalism, like you will recognize that like literally like the attitude that you see a lot of. And I use quote unquote trads for this online because I think that if they are actually traditional as they claim to be, which I would consider myself a trad, like an actual trad, like
Yeah.
if they were actually to be trad, they wouldn't be behaving in such like horrendous attitudes towards the second Vatican Council, right? The Ecumenical Council,
Yeah.
towards the Vicar of Christ. This is your father. Like, this is
Mhm.
literally your father. Like, and when your father does something wrong, like, or something, something wrong, out of his magisterium, or maybe he like says something not as clear as it could have been, right? As we wish it would have been. um like, how would you speak about your father in public when that happens? Like, would you go online and start being like, he's so frustrating, he's, like, he's leading people to hell and stuff like that? Like, which honestly, again, like, a pope is sinful, maybe he could be, but how do you speak about your father in public? You're
Mhm.
you're not speaking just about another grown man. You're not whining about another grown man in public. You're literally complaining about your own father. And like,
Mhm.
when it's honestly kind of, I don't know if I should use this term, but it's like fatherless activity. So, it's like, the fatherless activities of the
Oh
of the
my
schismatics. No. So I don't know if I should use that term though, because I don't want to, like, I don't want to
I
be
think people know.
provocative
I think people
necessarily.
understand your
But it's like,
intentions.
you
Yeah.
get what I mean. It's like, if you didn't have the Pope as your father, how would you be acting? And you see a
Mhm.
lot of a lot of people acting like that. So maybe one could say, yeah, it's low-key kind of fatherless activities. If you're talking about this of your own father, do you really take him as your father? Like, cause it's
Right.
like, again, I really recommend reading the book "Liberalism is a Sin" by Father Felix Sarda, and also what Pope Pius X would say about the papacy. I know a lot
True.
of people that love the SSPX love to, their SSPX is literally, with the name, they have the Pope in their Pope Pius X in their own name. But the Pope, like a lot of people that do follow the SSPX kind of, that sort of movement, they a lot of times might have not the best things, not the best attitudes towards the Pope. Maybe someone might say might fatherless attitudes about the Pope. And when you look at what Pope Pius X would say about the papacy, it's like, dude, like, do you guys even like listen to this very Pope that's in your name? Like, I really would
Only when it's
recommend reading
convenient.
reading the quote on him. And a part of the quote talks about how, like, if you truly love the Pope, you can't dissent from him. But not only that, but there's also like also he also the later quote does talk about how, like, one who loves the Pope does not say he hasn't spoken clearly enough. Which, of course, I mean, I don't know if that's a magisterial statement from Pope Pius X, but it's still worth considering. What did he really mean by this and stuff like that. Um, so, again, it really goes down to, like, how do you treat your father in public? Like, how,
Mhm.
like, do you like promote and try to scandalize other people? Like, it's just so weird to see, like, people that want to promote the Catholic faith. Hey, look at this thing that I think my father did so wrong.
Yep.
What? Like, aren't
How
you
does
trying
that
to
help?
win souls? Like, shouldn't you want to be like, hey, look, the Pope, we pray for him, and this wasn't a magisterial statement, but even if it was, here's maybe how we could possibly charitably interpret it, or like, like, and if it's not, it's like, look, we don't have to listen to him on that, and please pray for him. He's human, right? You can go out in such a mature way without being, without defending every one of his actions, but that's not
Yep.
what you see online. You see people just want to get, like, or I don't know if they want to, but like, they just people like just getting crap ton of clicks using very scandalizing or just very very provocative, like, headlines and stuff like that,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
And I mean, we see it all the time. I mean, the spread of negativity, we know that negativity sells, kind of like the way that sex sells. I've said that multiple times before.
Mhm.
And now people are tired of sex, so they're moving on to negativity, especially Gen Z. But the main thing is that I have seen, so many things. And I mentioned earlier about the whole LGBTQ Jubilee thing of 2025. Now, I highly suggest everybody go and follow the Pope Respecter one.
Yes, yes, Pope Respecter one. Let's go. I
He's on
love Pope
Twitter.
Respecter one.
He's great. I have learned so much from him. And he is the first person I go to when something comes out about Pope Francis because everyone's so quick to share like these catchy headlines, whatever. People realize that news sources can lie, right? Like they realize that you do have to read the entire article and maybe
Mm.
even read the actual pamphlet or the actual talk that Pope Francis gave. And unless you actually speak Italian or Spanish, maybe you're not going to get the full
Yeah.
context. So maybe find somebody who does. But
And even if you find the full context, you might just have bad theology, like literally, like
yeah,
because I remember when I first heard the interview with 60 Minutes, and I was like listening to it, I'm like, my first reaction was, ooh,
yeah. Mhm.
that was my first reaction, and then I listened to what the post planners had to say, and I'm like, wait, this is like orthodox. Like this
Yeah.
is like actually I was being retarded. So it's like you know what I mean by retarded. I don't mean like people that are autistic. I mean people that are being irrational, right? Because
You guys
autistic
have to
people.
follow Franco to understand this whole thing.
Yes, yes, you have to understand. You have to understand because this is not a dig at autistic. I love autistic people. This is a dig at people that are being irrational. I'm not actually referring to autistic people on this. For that.
So many spicy topics today.
So
Anime,
true.
Pope bashing.
But we're dodging the red wire so well though. We're dodging the
It's
red wire
true.
so well.
We're doing so well so far. I feel like this is this is going really well.
No, I love it. I love it. This is why I love talking to Amber. She's like one of the few like Catholic influ. Actually, no, never mind. No, not that you're not special, but
I'm
no, no,
so hurt.
no, not that you're not. Because I was first thinking like because she when I first called her and stuff like that when we got in touch, she was like really dope. And so I'm like, oh wow,
Was.
she's actually really easy to talk to. Which is of course not someone that like you obviously come across every single day. But
It's
when
hard.
but then I'm like, and I was about to say like she's one of the few Catholic influencers that like I've actually run into that are like that. But then I'm like, wait, actually no, there's other people that are like that. So not that you're not like that. I'm just saying that there's
I'm
you know
glad that there's multiple though, because that
yeah.
makes me feel better that I'm not the only one.
Yeah. No, it would be pretty bad if you're like the only one. That would kind of suck. That would kind of suck. But no,
Yeah.
I've Amber's great. We love Amber, don't we, folks? No simping though.
Okay, you know what? I don't spend much time online.
Well, that's
Despite my
good.
ministry.
That's good. Do you read the comments regularly?
No. I
I believe you. I believe you.
I don't
believe
look
you.
at my comments. I only the only comments I look at are the ones on my Instagram posts and then YouTube.
That's good.
Um
That's good. That's good. And I know people might want to doubt that and stuff, but of course, I mean, if you want to doubt everything you don't want that doesn't align with your confirmation bias, then of course that's on you. But that's actually like it's honestly so good when women don't like kind of read the comments because like I think women and maybe you can fact check me on this, but I think a lot of women tend to get like a lot of their ego boosted, and just kind
yeah.
of pride filled when they like read like oh you're so beautiful, you're so cute and all this stuff, right? And so that maybe might be why they want to keep doing it more and more and more. So like and that could definitely like that's a real danger for women that want to really like promote and lead by example
Yeah.
the modesty narrative because that's very important. One of the best ways to teach things is to lead by example, and so I really think we should have more women leading by example and like look, here's like alternatives to how to dress, modesty is a good thing and all that stuff, right? And not just talking the talk but also showing it, right? Now of course there is that danger of unfortunately like a lot of simps in the comments like oh dread
Yeah.
wife please I can finally find a woman in the kitchen, like obviously you can find that. My gosh, that was way too
Oh
many
yeah.
voice cracks that I purposely put in. But
Well, I mean,
but it's a real danger. It really is a real danger, and I think that like when women decide to like okay, look, I'm not gonna look at the comments, and like I don't even care about looking at the comments. That's a really good sign. Really good sign.
I think it's important though because in general, I don't really okay, here's the thing. I have a ministry and I love all the people that follow me because they're a part of the ministry and they help, but I cannot at that same time respond to everybody.
Yeah.
And to me, I know that people have a connection to me and I love that. And when I meet them in person, I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are great, like awesome. But when it's just a comment on a screen, I mean, it's support, of course, if it's like actual support. Like if it's like, oh, you've done so much and like this has really helped me in this area, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. But if someone's just complimenting my looks or like something like that, I'm like, but it's not really deep. You know what I mean?
Ah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah,
like
yeah. It's superficial. Yeah,
because
yeah.
for me personally, I already know that I like the way I look. I already know that I'm confident in that. It's not a prideful thing. I'm not vain, right? It's not a vanity thing. I don't wear a whole lot of makeup. I think God doesn't make mistakes. I like the way I look. I have some things here or there that I struggle with, of course, as everybody does. But I don't obsess over it, right? I minimal makeup, I work out, I just take care of myself, right?
Okay, can we talk about makeup? Oh my gosh.
Can we? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Let's
please,
talk about makeup.
please.
Let's talk about makeup
Ah,
with Franco. Okay.
ah.
He's fired up. How much coffee did you have today?
None. I don't drink coffee.
Oh, I can't drink coffee anymore. Team no coffee. Wait, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Just
Nice,
oh.
nice. No, I don't drink coffee. I never really got into it. I'm a firm believer that coffee does not, or it hinders your potential potentially.
You get along really well with Steve, Catholic Comedy
Oh,
on
really?
Twitter.
Dope.
Yeah, he
Yeah, well, I've always been super fired up, and like, I mean, I remember I was at my a really close friend's, practically my best friend, pretty much. He's pretty much my best friend since, like, since I was in elementary school. And he was I was at his house for Thanksgiving, and his sister he has like a really bad, like, bad history with coffee. Like, he drinks a lot of it, and
oh,
he's usually kind of like a little, he could use a lot more energy, right? And his sister's like, you could be more energized. Like, look, and I'm like, I tell him, like, I'm very excited. I'm like, yeah, you should stop drinking coffee. And his sister's like, kind of been like, I'm pretty sure she's also been kind of like begging to like stop. And then she's like, look at Franco, like, it's like, we were like, it was like in the morning, and I'm like fired up. It's like, I don't, like, you don't need this. You don't need um poop juice. I don't even want to say that, actually. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. That's disgusting. I'm so sorry. That's disgusting. Gosh. But it's like, it's black tar. You're drinking black tar from seeds. Aren't we against seed oils? I don't know if that's like actually a good nutrition advice, but
maybe
seed oils
no.
are bad though.
Seed oils are very bad for you.
Yeah.
I mean, people will argue with you in the comments, of course, about coffee and like how it's, but I can't
No,
drink it anymore because of some health issues, and I can't talk about them yet because they haven't been officially diagnosed.
I
But
don't want to. I don't want to completely condemn coffee, because I know, like, the popes like have, like, I think a pope like approved of coffee, and that's, and look, if Papa likes coffee, I like coffee too. I just won't drink it.
just clarifying there.
Yeah. Just want to clear. I'm not totally against coffee. I'm not.
I will
Like,
say though, Italian coffee and just coffee in Europe or the UK in general is just completely different from the coffee we have here anyways. And
oh yeah.
my friend who can't drink coffee at all, she went to Rome and she was able to have coffee like 3 times a day and it did not hurt her stomach or do anything that it usually
Oh,
does in the
nice.
United States. And usually that's because of the mold and everything. Dunkin' is known to be the worst for having mold in their coffee, which
Ugh,
is unfortunately why I can't go there anymore unless it's for like iced tea or something. But then I'm like, well, if there's mold in the coffee, then why would I trust their iced tea too?
that's
Um,
true.
not to
Yeah.
dunk on Duncan, but but I'm sure there's a lot of like
Allegedly, there's mold in Dunkin'.
allegedly. I'm sure there's
Allegedly.
also other places that are like that because when you have such big corporations and so many people coming to get coffee, it's not just a little mom and pop coffee shop anymore. It's like a big corporation. How do you keep up with all of that? And workers are lazy. I hate to say it, but they are. They don't get paid a whole lot or they get paid minimum wage and it's not enough. So you know what I mean? Like it's just not
I
enough to keep
the
them
fact that,
going.
like, honestly, I stopped, like, taking, like, like, I really, whenever I want to do a cheat meal, and I'm like thinking, like, oh, I want to get like some McDonald's or something, I like remember to back when I used to work at McDonald's when I was in high school. um and like, I literally would like see bad practices, like, people, like, dude, you got to remember, like, these people are getting paid not much money. They are there for long hours. Even if they were paid well, they'd still be there for long hours doing the same crap. Dude,
Yep. And I
I
worked
wouldn't.
I worked at a lot of places. Well, not a lot. I've worked at I've worked at Chick-fil-A, I've worked at PetSmart, I've worked a few places.
Yeah.
But every single time I've always found discrepancies and I'm like, "Aren't we going to clean that? Aren't we going to?" And they're just like, "Oh, we'll leave
Not
it for morning people," or "Oh, we'll
not
leave it for night people."
yeah. Not everybody is as much as a germaphobe as we are. Like, and you
Mhm.
know, and even within Catholics, I'm sure, like even within everyone, you know, not everybody's as just germaphobe as you are.
Yeah.
So you know, it really
Especially the soda
is.
machines. The mold that grows in those things is insane.
Wait, I didn't even know about that. That's
What?
insane. No, I have no idea about that. What?
Don't get soda from, especially, I mean, Arby's is known to be one of the worst, but if companies don't regularly clean out their soda pipes and their soda machines, mold can grow on the nozzles, which is often not taken down to clean because they only clean out the pipes, and also ice machines. If you get ice, a lot of the times there's black mold that's growing in their ice machines. Did I just scar you for life?
Okay. Look. The only like cheat meal that I think is safe is like pizza.
Okay, pizza's good though. I love pizza.
But tell me the hard truth if there's any hard truths to say about pizza and Pizza Hut and like Domino's and stuff.
No, I think mainly because, well, I don't know about Domino's. We get ours from Giordano's, which is
Ah, Giordano's.
Giordano. It's
Oh,
great.
I'm I'm actually partly Italian as well and Chinese.
Oh, so you can do this unironically.
Yeah, I could. I'm partly Chinese and Italian, but both from my father's side.
Oh,
And I guess like I mean technically you could say Spaniard if you go far back enough, because like
all
you
right.
know
Do you have any ancestors that fought in the Crusades, or?
I would love to know. That'd be so dope. But no, probably it was probably more of the Incas or something that got colonized or something. But which is fine so long as it wasn't like you know violent or stuff.
Violent? I'm
Well,
you never
which of
know.
course, like people. I think the Crusades are largely or sorry, not well, the Crusades too, but colonization I think is largely misrepresented by like a lot of people. Like I think that people just immediately assume that all colonization was bad and like it was always violent and always just totally unjust. It's like, well, no, there's like there's a lot more nuance to it. Obviously, condemn all the evil practices that happened when people were trying to colonize, obviously, but like in and of itself is not really bad.
Yeah.
Hot take, but hey, look, hey,
It's
look,
true.
you're hearing it from a person with potential Incan background, Chinese.
So therefore, you cannot go against what he says.
You cannot go against what I say. I will play all my race cards on you, okay?
I love it because sometimes for fun, well, not for fun, but it's like somebody will say something, and because I have like a little bit of Native American in me, I'll be like, "That's offensive to my race."
Yo!
Just for fun. I think
Native
it's the funniest
American?
thing.
Yo, let's go! You're part of the club, Amber.
Yeah, I'm a little
Yeah.
brown. I'm more caramel.
What's your warrior scream?
I don't want to scream into the microphone, but I have an Indian name. Does that count?
Indian name?
Yeah, Wamble Lutachis Nawion.
Oh my gosh!
That's the
You gotta
first
work on
time I've ever talked about
you gotta
that.
work on that pronunciation though. I think that was a little too English.
To English. I mean, granted, my mom always used to say it in a grocery store whenever I got lost, and at the end
Wait,
of it, she would say,
you're
"Hush, hush,
actually
Willow."
you're actually partly Native American.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
we were a part of the Eastern Delaware Nation for a really long time when I was a kid.
Wow.
And
Look at
then my dad
that.
was like, "No, this is pagan. We're leaving." And I was like, "Okay."
What's Max? What's Max?
He's French. He's French nobility.
French nobility.
He has a
Okay.
saint in his family, Saint Bovo.
That's really
He's a French
cool.
saint, and there's a festival I think in March every year that involves cows.
Okay, so French nobility. What is he anything else or just French? Just pure French nobility.
He's like, oh, he's French and
Black.
Swedish. His mom's Swedish, I think, or something
Okay.
like that. Or yeah, something.
We didn't touch on makeup. I want to touch on makeup. I'm not
Yeah.
dropping that. I'm not dropping.
Okay,
that.
makeup. Let's go.
Okay, so well, first off, like, what's kind of your general like kind of take on makeup?
Makeup is meant to enhance features, not meant to change features. So for me, I put as minimal makeup as possible on because I don't want to cover up what naturally I have, right?
Mhm.
Now, there are some people who might have acne, scarring, etc., things that don't make them feel like they're as beautiful or as pretty as other people, especially with social media. I mean, we see that all the time. But we also have to remember social media is fake, right?
Yeah.
Airbrushed skin, Photoshop, etc. So for me, makeup I wear rarely. I wear it for podcasts because otherwise the lighting would drown me out. And I wear it for videos and I wear it to mass. Outside of that, you probably wouldn't really be catching me wearing makeup. And if I do wear it, it's natural.
Anathema. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Franco, no. I bet you have to wear makeup in your music videos.
No, I don't.
Oh,
None.
okay. Well, some
None.
people do.
I wear no makeup at all.
Ugh. But then it's like, how does the camera not wash you out?
What do you mean wash me out?
Well, you know, like how when well, I guess you guys are using different techniques then. Do you guys have like big lighting and everything like that?
Well, we just use daylight for a lot of it, and then like from we
Oh,
just
okay.
use a lot of like it's either like daylight or either the frick it's either daylight or like just I mean I don't know like
Okay. Okay, that
lights
makes
and
sense.
stuff.
So then you wouldn't get washed out because it's not LED. Okay. Anyways,
Well,
continue.
I also do use LEDs, but like just I also do use LEDs like when I like shoot some videos like for my Instagram. But I mean, I think as long as like you don't like as long as like the color is like even if the color's not fine, like you can just color correct.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah, post production.
yeah, you can just
Yeah,
color
that makes
correct to
sense.
make it like look fun, like look accurate. But yeah, no, I don't use any makeup. I have scarring and stuff. Like I have like a lot of scarring. Like if you, I feel like people usually probably don't see that on my videos because when you post and stuff, like I do put in a smoothing effect on myself post for a lot of my Instagram videos, but it's like honestly, I don't think it does like a perfect job. Like you really could see my scarring and stuff like that to an extent. But that's it. Like I won't actually like put myself on any makeup. Like I feel like that'd be kind of fruity to be honest.
Digital makeup. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
no, I just
Digital.
that's like that's all I'll do. Like just a slight smoothing effect on my Instagram because I don't want it to look like there's a filter on. I just like it's just slight. But yeah, I know I have like a lot of scarring and stuff like that from acne and stuff like that. But I don't yeah I don't think I would ever try to wear makeup because like as a
Well, obviously it's
man.
not. It would only be meant for like shows or like
Yeah, I
videos or
guess so. I
something.
mean, like, yeah, no, because when you're doing showbiz, like, I mean, I probably will, like, if I start doing like bigger stuff, I probably will maybe do makeup, but I don't know. Maybe I might think like, you know what? Let me send a message. but, but no, I do largely agree with you. I think that like, I think it should be meant to like accentuate your stuff if you're gonna use it, not to totally change your fit, like your, what God gave you. Um, that being said, like, I think that some people might say that but then they still add like a crap ton of makeup.
Yeah, or I've a big thing these days too is also they wear no makeup at all. And I don't think there is a problem with wearing no makeup necessarily, but I'm talking about when it would actually call for it, right? When you get dolled up, when you're supposed to, look your best. And some women look really great without makeup. A lot of women look great without makeup. Um, and then, every once in a while, I have this where it's just like some days my dark eyes are a little bit bigger than others. It depends also on women's cycles and things like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it's like when we feel put together, it also communicates something to people around us.
That's
And I'm not
true.
saying to throw on like cake loads of makeup. I'm just saying maybe a little bit of concealer, a little bit of mascara. That's all I have on right now. That's it.
Mm.
And that's enough for me to feel a little bit put together,
Yeah,
to be
you look like I personally wouldn't have couldn't tell much. Maybe like your
that's great.
lips, maybe like I
That's what I
couldn't
look
tell
for. I
much.
don't have any lipstick on.
There you go. Look, there you go. Yeah, no,
I just have great
I think that
circulation.
yeah, again, the best makeup is when it doesn't look like you're wearing makeup. Which honestly, I do think yeah, like I think honestly, like, and this might be a bit of a hot take, but I actually don't care when women like kind of go kind of bizarre on their eyelashes and stuff and just kind of like pretty it up really nice or like
Yeah.
on their eyelids. I actually don't care much about that. My main issue is when it looks like when your face looks
Contouring.
like there's like a lot of foundation. Like when there's like a lot of
Hmm.
foundation. That's my issue. I'm like, dude, ugh. Like I don't I find it so
Franco, you know
unattractive.
what? for my wedding makeup, I had soft glam done, even though I told her I just wanted natural makeup done. Like, I just wanted natural, like basically what I'm wearing now. I obviously didn't end up going with her. One of my close friends, Emma, she ended up doing my makeup, which made
Yeah.
me look just like this because that's what I wanted.
Mm.
But this makeup, I'm telling you, it aged me like 15 years.
Really?
I'm gonna show you a
Wait,
photo.
up or down?
Uh, up. I looked like I was like 40 or something. Like it was ridiculous. I was like, because makeup, first of all, when you put so much of it on, it clogs your pores. First of all,
Mm.
I hate that feeling. My skin needs to breathe. I'm sorry, but it does.
Deep
And
tallow.
and then on top of that, because it gets into every little crease, it accentuates it. And people will be like, "Oh, well, you're just not doing it right because like blah 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 whatever." And I'm just like, "No, no, makeup just, even if you have a setting powder or you have things like that, it still doesn't work." Okay, it doesn't want to show. That's really annoying. But the thing that was really annoying to me was just like I obviously asked for just I didn't ask for soft glam. I asked for natural makeup and she gave me like caked on like the amount of makeup. It took me 5 makeup wipes to take it off. 5.
Oh, that's crazy.
And
I
I'll
don't know what
find the
that means, but
photo.
that sounds crazy.
It's just
Yeah, I know.
awful.
And and here's the thing. I also don't like it when on top of the makeup, women put on filters. Like not like the stuff that I'm doing, like the just a like a
As if
just
the
a
makeup wasn't
just a
enough.
slight smoothing filter on the skin. Doesn't even touch on my eyebrows much. It's just on the skin. Not even that much, but like literally like filters that change your facial like structure to a certain extent. You might think
Mhm.
it's slight, but any slight change in your face is not your face. I mean,
Exactly.
meaning by like structure wise. I mean structure wise. That's what I mean. Not like not like accentuating your face. That's not accentuating your facial features. That's changing your facial features when you're starting to use filters that change your facial, your literal facial structure and stuff. That's what I mean.
Do
I'm
you
kind of like,
remember when it was a thing to take the woman you were dating to the pool for your first date because she could like basically you had to wipe off all the like it would make her wipe off all the makeup.
I don't think I've ever taken a woman to a date in the pool.
I wouldn't personally, but I remember when I was in high school that was like a huge thing because that
Uh,
was like how they were just like, yeah, we're gonna make sure you're all natural.
mm.
But it's like, okay, well apparently Meta is just completely down
I don't
in
know if it's
general.
my audio, but wait, can you speak real quick?
Meta's just down completely right now.
You're sounding like you've been sounding like kind of
What?
not. You guys can still hear you fine, but like it's
Boo.
just not as
Well,
good as
I mean, we're wrapping up here anyways because it's been an hour. Yeah. Okay. And then where can my listeners find you, Franco?
you guys can find me on Instagram. That's where I'm mainly active. Of course, I also make music. You can go check that out on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever music apps you guys have. And oh, keep in mind that of course there's like some songs that I remastered, so they're like, they have the old titles, which I pushed back when I was like not practicing Catholic. So some of the titles are questionable, but the lyrics should be good to go. I got them reviewed by a priest, so yeah. Make sure to check those. Just keep that in mind, of course, when if you check out my music. But yeah, very electronic type stuff. But with my social media, I'm like the Catholic stuff. Yeah, you can find me on anything on all social media that with just the handle at the Franco TV. But yeah, I'm mostly active on Instagram. So yeah, check me out. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome.
Thank you ever for having me on.
And with all of that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.